Well, if the DC news keeps coming at us this fast, we're going to have a daily show. Since yesterday's update, James Gunn has been tearing up social media. We've got lots of new updates on Black Adam and the sequel that's not happening, the status of Zach Levi's Shazam, and more importantly, the possibility of Elseworlds in the DCU. Oh, and then there's this answer about Justice League the cartoon. Let's take a couple minutes to break down all the latest DCU news. Well, as many of you know, DC Studios is hot right now, and they are making huge changes, which is generating a ton of news. All week, we've been getting constant updates, and the pace has not slowed down. Since yesterday, we got a lot of new news about Black Adam and the potential sequel, Zachary Levi's status as Shazam, James Gunn talking about how his leadership will be different than previous eras, and a few teases about Elseworlds and Justice League Unlimited. So let's dive into the whole deal. We'll start off with the Black Adam. Well, if you've been paying attention, you may have heard that Black Adam 2 is not happening. The movie itself did not do very well at the box office, and it's even worse now than before. We'll talk about that in a second. But yesterday, we got a huge update from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that was retweeted by James Gunn that gives us a pretty clear idea of what's going on. Now, Johnson took to social media and dropped a multi-paragraph message, so let's check it out. It reads, "My passionate friends, I wanted to give you a long-awaited Black Adam update regarding the character's future in the new DC universe. James Gunn and I connected, and Black Adam will not be in their first chapter of storytelling. However, DC and $7 have agreed to continue exploring the most viable ways Black Adam can be utilized in the future DC multiverse chapters. James and I have known each other for years and have always rooted for each other to succeed. It's no different now, and I will always root for DC and Marvel to win and win big. You guys know me, I have very thick skin, and you can always count on me to be direct with my words. These decisions made by James and DC leadership represent their vision of the DCU through their creative lens. After 15 years of relentless hard work to finally make Black Adam, I'm very proud of the film we delivered to fans worldwide. I will always look back on fan reactions to Black Adam with tremendous gratitude, humility, and love." Now, that's not the end of the message, but it's pretty much all we need to know. Gunn actually retweeted this message, giving us a pretty clear connection between the two and where they both stand. Now, at this point, this shouldn't surprise anybody. To be quite honest, I think Johnson may have gotten a bit full of himself and may have actually caused some of this, but it does seem that things between the two are pretty good. I did notice The Rock's Marvel reference, and I don't think that was an accident. I don't know if he was tipping his hat to Guardians of the Galaxy and James' works there, or if he was signaling to Marvel Studios about some interest doing a project with them. Now, he did have several offers from the DCU to appear that he turned down. We all know that he turned down an appearance in Shazam: Fury of the Gods. He really wanted to focus on that face-off with Superman and felt like that would propel his character and his place in the DCU farther. But according to a new report earlier today, he did have another chance to appear in the DCU that he said no to, and that would be in Andy Muschietti's Flash. Now, whatever reason this happened, we don't know yet, but it is kind of one of those be careful what you wish for, and that may have all contributed to where we are at this moment. We also got an updated report that the film had extensive reshoots, and the final production budget was $260 million. Considering the profit debate we've had about this movie, this actually places it needing to break $500 million to become profitable. And despite whatever kind of creative accounting is coming off of social media, that definitely didn't happen. So all these things add up to a bit of a problem. Now, all of this is added to by Shazam himself, Zachary Levi, and that kind of gives us a clue of what the grander plan might actually be. Now, over on Twitter, he was asked directly if he was going to be recast, and his response was pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and check that out. Zach actually said, "Oh, I really wouldn't go believing everything you see on the internet. I'm Gucci, Ash. We all Gucci," with the cool face emoji. Now, considering what James Gunn is doing and what's happened with The Rock, the statement from The Rock, and the statement from Zach Levi, there's something everybody really should consider. We know James Gunn is likely to do his DC universe in chapters or phases just like Marvel, and I really think he has some plans for these characters. They're just a little farther down the road than anybody thinks. More than likely, the greater Shazam mythology will be explored farther down the road in the DCU, and I do find it very likely, given some of these statements, that both of these actors could potentially come back to their titular roles. This could take 2 or 3 years down the road, but that would give it a little bit of power with nostalgia and people actually missing the actors playing the characters. Unfortunately, this would probably mean recasting people like Billy Batson and the rest of the kids. That's something to consider, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, one thing many fans have been worried about is DC has a history of executives overriding a director's vision and kind of creating a bit of a mess, and James Gunn actually took the Mastodon and talked to that directly. Now, on the service, he reassured fans that they really shouldn't worry about the WB execs overriding his decisions, and made it clear that things will be working a bit differently than they did back in the Snyder era. On the new social media platform, he actually said, "The position is different than it was with Zack. Peter and I are the heads of DC Studios. The only studio interference would be from us." Now, this flies in the face of other reports that we're getting that suggest that some execs at WB may have some concerns about Gunn's lack of leadership in the type of role he's in. Whether this is true or not, he appears to be taking the bull by the horns, and along with that, all the responsibility that goes with leading the studio. Quite honestly, it sounds to me he's going to be wielding the same amount of power as Kevin Feige and be that entrenched in the creative process. I think in the past what happened was directors developed their films, and by the time the executives got a look, those changes, created issues with the final product. I believe, like Feige, Gunn will be intimately involved in the development of pretty much every project, and that should avoid some of these problems in the future. Now, there was a lot of other little bits of news from James Gunn on social media that probably should be highlighted over the last couple of days. He did tease a Deathstroke project in a response to a Twitter post. Now, Deathstroke can show up in a multitude of places, and people could be reading a bit too much into this. I could totally see Deathstroke being part of a Batman project, or even a future Justice League project where they face off with a potential Injustice League or a group of villains. The character is pretty iconic with DC fans, and his live-action appearances have almost always been met with a positive response. Whether this means Joe Manganiello comes back and plays the character, we'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure Joe would want to do it, but I don't know any of the behind-the-scenes details. Now, the two other things that James said did get me super excited, though. The first thing he mentioned was Elseworlds. James was asked directly about this, and what he said was a bit of a surprise. It's actually in the works. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Elseworlds, it's a DC line of alternate reality stories, and some of them have been absolutely classic. The first ones that come to mind for me are Gotham by Gaslight, which sees Batman face off with Jack the Ripper, or Speeding Bullet, which saw Clark Kent adopted by the Waynes and eventually becoming Batman. We also just had an animated adaptation of Red Sun, which was awesome. Now, there's a ton of stuff in the Elseworlds universe for Gunn to pick from, but I do think this would be a good call. It's not much of a stretch of the imagination to envision an Elseworlds series, not movies. Remember, TV, animation, and film. And an Elseworld live-action series in the vein of what the MCU did with What If would be absolutely amazing. Now, the other thing he did mention was the influence of the Justice League animated series. And made it pretty clear the show is definitely influencing what they're doing. He actually used the word definitely. Now, for me, the Justice League animated series is one of the best examples ever of basically creating a DC universe almost from scratch. Yes, I know Batman and Superman existed in their own animated series beforehand, but the show effectively brought together all of these characters almost instantly, telling a creative story, adding Hawkgirl, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and The Flash in one episode and making it a cohesive story. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if Gunn kicked off the new DC universe with a Justice League movie just like that, but the idea that he's looking to those shows and how well they brought these characters to life in an interconnected plotline has me super excited. If you're a fan of my channel, you know I've been saying for a long time that the DC animated universe should be where anybody creating a new DC movie universe should look to first. That generation of kids, my kids that grew up on that, are now ready for those characters to come to life on film, and I think looking to that is a spectacular idea on how to develop your movie universe. Now, I'm sure by the end of the day, Gunn is going to drop a lot more information about the new DCU. I don't think this is going to stop for quite a while. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to bring you the news as it comes out, and I can't wait to see you here. But until we know more, what do you guys think? How do you feel about Black Adam 2 actually being scrapped from DC Films? And are you excited that the creative overrides from Warner Bros. Executives won't be happening to future projects? Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.